Happy holidays, everyone. Today I'm going to tell you the crazy story about how I almost missed my train ride back to my family for Thanksgiving from New York City. It's quite the story, so sit down and listen. Now, the plan was to wake up at 9 a.m. and then take the train from Brooklyn, where I was living, into Manhattan, and that would have taken around 40 minutes. The plan was to meet at 10 a.m., so I had a 20-minute buffer with my sibling, and then we would take the train to the metro to the train station, which would have only taken 15 minutes, and then we would have had 45 minutes to check in, settle down, and depart at 11 a.m., which was the start time, back home. Now, the issue was it didn't work out that way. I woke up at 9 a.m., and then it took about 20 minutes for me to finish packing the final knickknacks into my suitcase and stuff. By the time I got to the train station, it was around 9:20, the metro train station, and I missed the train by a few seconds. It was literally moving out of the station as soon as I got there. So I had to wait another 10 minutes for the next metro line to come in, adding 10 minutes there. But then while I was on the train, it started to add delays. All of a sudden, the projected time for me to get into the Manhattan stop to meet my sibling was 10:15. Now I started freaking out a little bit at this point, and I ended up going back and forth like, what should I do? And I ended up telling my sibling, please, I know you've never done this before, but could you possibly just go yourself to the Amtrak train station and meet me there? So she's in college, so she's old enough, and so I told her it's just a couple stops for you uptown. Make sure you don't go downtown. That's the big issue. I've made that mistake numerous times, and then I've wasted 30 minutes. And if that happens, we're not going to make it. So make sure you go uptown and just it's just like a couple stops for you. And that's possibly the only way we'll get to the Amtrak on time. I'm just going to meet you at the Amtrak station. Now, as I'm telling her this, I am literally getting off the train and walking, because according to my app, City Mapper, there's still another like 15-20 minutes of just walking. They got me to the closest I could, and then I had to walk another 15 minutes before I could get there. And then I was like, why is this the case? And I was just confused. We'll answer that shortly, because there was something happening today. Hint, hint, the Macy's parade. So there I am, and I'm walking. I'm like, screw this. I'm just going to go directly to the Amtrak station. I recalculated the route. It told me to get back onto the metro trains, which I did. And I started riding the metro trains to the Amtrak train station. Now, I get off the metro train, and I'm still about 10-15 minutes walk away. And I'm like, wow, that's a hassle. There's no closer train station to the Amtrak train. So I was like, okay, whatever. I get my 50-pound suitcase behind me. I'm lugging and sprinting it. And then I have all this other crap, my backpack, and I'm running. Lo and behold, I get to the exit, and there's like 50 to 100 people at the metro exit just standing there, not moving, creating a bottleneck. And I'm like, why? So I decide I'm going to another exit, and I get up the stairs. I look around, and I realize why that metro stop was blocked. It was the Macy's Day Parade going on, and everyone was watching that parade. So now I am between hordes of people crammed in there trying to watch a parade from sometimes a block away, because sometimes they'll block it off for an entire street block so that you can only see it from afar. And so movements ground to a halt. I'm trying to move past these people. I'm yelling, mind your feet, because they're not paying attention, and I'm almost rolling over their toes sometimes. And I'm moving and cruising, and the app is telling me to go to the other side of the street. There's a problem though. The Macy's Day Parade is in the way. So I get to a police officer and I ask him, how do I get to the other side? And I ask him in a calm way, and he says, you have to go all the way down a few blocks this way until the parade turns so that you can make your turn. And I'm like, okay, sure. But it's the opposite direction that my phone is telling me to go. So then I talked to another police officer, asked him the same thing. He tells me a different route, which is the other way. So I go that way, and it's a little shorter. I walk for blocks and blocks. I'm walking slash sprinting, but there's all these people trying to get in my way, trying to see the parade. And then I finally get to, after about 5-10 minutes of semi-running, I get to a part where I could turn with the parade and get to the other side of the street. At this point, I start running and sprinting because it's chugging along. It's like 10:45, 10:47 now. I don't know if I'm going to make it. And then I tell myself, I'm still happy, healthy. If I miss this, it's really going to suck, but maybe I'll be able to rearrange the date and time. Yes, it will be a huge blow in cost. It was like a $600 trip, but it is what it is. My sister texts me. She says she's there. I told him, get in line, check in, show him the ticket, which I forwarded to you, and we'll figure it out. So things are going kind of well, right? Not really. And I'm running, I'm sprinting, and I'm like, at this point, I'm like, maybe I should have been vlogging some of this because it does make for an interesting story. So then I start getting on my phone and I'm running and sprinting while capturing some of the footage with my phone. And I'm seeing people, now it's just a straight shot down. It's a straight shot down for like 4 blocks. And then I'll get to the point where I get to the Amtrak station. So then I'm running and I see all these people with suitcases walking or briskly walking towards me or away from me, and I'm like, okay, that's a good sign because they're coming probably from the train station. I run, I sprint, I get out of swerve because some people are in my way and I have to get around them. And long story short, I get closer and closer until I see the Penn Station area, which is a giant area where I think a lot of trains from all across the country come in and converge in, and this is a major metro stop too. But my phone's telling me this isn't where the Amtrak station is. It's farther ahead. So I'm like, okay, at least I'm close. So then I get up, I cross the street, and I'm looking for it. I get there, and then I'm looking for it. I don't find it. I look across the street. I finally see it. I get in there, and lo and behold, it's like 10:54 at this point. And it's a giant train station, almost like an airport with all these arrows. So I just go to the train station main hall, and once again I'm telling myself, try your best. If it doesn't work out, it's okay. It's not the end of the world. It sucks, but it's not the end of the world. And this is my fault. I should have woke up earlier. I should have predicted these things. I get to the hall, hoping it's the right one. It is. There's a bunch of people there waiting in line to check in, like an airport. And then the flight attendant or the attendant there asked me what my number is. I pull it up on my phone, which I'm fumbling to do. It takes me like 30 seconds because I'm in a rush and I'm flustered and I have to dive into my Gmail. I pull it out for her and she's like, oh, just go downstairs. So I go downstairs, and then there's like these 2 trains, just like a metro, but like more fancy. And I talk to the attendant right in front of the train I'm supposed to go in, and I say, do I need to check in above? And she's like, oh no, this isn't like an airplane. You can just like go onto the train. And then I'm like, yes. And now I'm like, I just need to find my sibling and get in before it's too late. And it's like 10:55 at this point. It's about to take off. But I play it cool. The attendants are also kind of chill, so nothing's crazy. I call her on my phone and she's still like way deep in line. She has another like 30 minutes to go waiting in line. I tell her, you actually don't need to wait in line. Just get downstairs here, find the escalator. Once again, these are all these big leaps that I haven't seen my sister make before. And I'm scared like she might not be able to figure it out, find it. And luckily she says, okay, sure. And she says, I see it. I see the escalator. She comes down. And lo and behold, I see her face. I see her coat. She waves at me. And then I start running because we're at the very end of the train at car 6. Well, I start jogging away from her, but I beckon to her. I'm saying, it's not that I don't want to see you. We need to get on this train. So I beckon to her. She's running towards me, and then I'm running away from her, beckoning. And then I finally just stop and say, okay, just wait for her to come. I apologize. I hug her. I explain the situation. And then we get on the train. I sit down. And guess what time it is when we finally find our seat after referencing my ticket again and getting on a train. We're one of the last people to arrive, by the way. It is 10:59 p.m. 1 minute before the train takes off. We make it there. It is an insane story. I can't believe it. A lot of luck factor into that. A lot of things that if they just went a little differently, it would have screwed up. If my sister went on the wrong train, if she couldn't find it, she told me later that she got off at the train at the app told her, but then the app told her to keep walking, but she was a little confused because it was like still it still wasn't there. She didn't know she had to walk.